So today we are on day 36, which is Exodus 19 through 21. In chapter 19, they are in the desert of Mount Sinai. And God tells Moses that if the people obey him and keep his covenants, they will be his treasured possession. He also told Moses to go tell, what he's telling them. So Moses basically goes to God, and then he goes back to the people and tell the people. And then the people say, we'll do everything that God says. And then he goes back to God. So he's going back and forth this entire time. And then God tells Moses to consecrate the people because he planned to actually come down on Mount Sinai into the sight of all the people. But he did tell them that even though he's doing this, not to touch the mountain or not to try to come to the mountain. And if you did do that, then you will die. You will either get stoned or an arrow, but you are going to die. He lets them know that they can only approach after the ram's horn sound. So Moses went down the mountain. He consecrated the people. He had them wash their clothes, and he told them to prepare yourselves for the third day. And they also had to abstain from sexual relations as well. So then God came down. They described it as fire on the mountain, and there were a lot of smoke happening. So then God told Moses to tell the people again, don't touch the mountain, don't try to come up here. And Moses was like, I already told them that, and they know to stay back already. So what do you want me to do now? So then he's like, well, go tell them again. And then when you come back up here, bring Aaron with you. So I assume Moses took Aaron back up there with him. And then in chapter 20, he gave the 10 Commandments. And then the people wanted Moses to speak to them because they were afraid of the sight of God. So they like, we'll just take our messages through Moses for 300. And so, yeah. And then after they said that, God described how they should build an altar to him, how they needed to be built, no stones that you have to chisel away or something like that. You can't go, it can't have stairs because then it might risk your privates showing. So those sorts of things. And then we go into chapter 21, and it talks about Hebrew slaves. And I thought this was interesting because why y'all turning each other into slaves? Y'all just escaped slavery in the land of Egypt. So I'm like, so some of them are slaves again? Like, why? Why can't everybody just be free? Why they gotta be slaves? But anyway, they are slaves. They have some slaves. And it says that, they should be a slave for 6 years, and then on the 7th year, they should be released if they are men. It says that if he came alone, he leave alone. If he came with a wife, he leave with his wife. If he came alone and then he married a wife while he was enslaved and they had children, then he can leave, but the wife and children has to stay. And if he decide that since his wife and children have to stay, that he wants to stay, he can go to a judge and then get a piercing, and then he'll be a slave to that slave master forever. But he'll be with his wife and kids. And then he goes on to say, if a man sells his daughter into slavery, she don't just go free. And he lists out rules for a girl slave. And then he says, if you commit crimes, or he lists crimes, and I just summarized it, that if you commit crimes, you will be put to death. But he does list several crimes, and they all end in death. And that wraps up the reading for her today. So until next time, I'll see you next time.